talk today about the archetypes that have the ability to either hold all your power and kill your magnetism in dating and in life, or if you unlock the archetype that has been holding your power and holding your dating magnetism hostage, then these archetypes have the ability to completely unlock your dating power. So I'm going live on both Facebook and Instagram at the moment. Hello, those of you who are joining me, welcome. And yeah, I want to talk about these archetypes because I discovered probably about 3 years ago now that there was this map of archetypes available. It's quite a rare teaching. Like, I don't know many people who've studied it, don't even know many people who've heard of it. And yet, around the world, it has also changed the lives of thousands and thousands of people. So I know that it works. And I was introduced to it about 3 years ago. And I was told that my dating power had been stolen, effectively, kept hostage, held trapped by one particular archetype. And if I knew what that archetype was, if I did the work to unlock what that archetype was and understand how it worked and why it was holding my power, then I had the ability to transform it as well. Hello, those of you who are joining. And if I had the ability to transform it, I could release all that power that this archetype was keeping hostage, and I could become highly, highly magnetic in dating. And I'm going to tell you the story of how that happened. So let me look at my notes, because I'll admit I'm a little bit nervous today. It's odd. I used to do live streams loads, and I never used to get nervous. But today I'm nervous and I need my notes. So I realized that for those of you who are not so familiar with archetypes are just categories, right? They're a way of grouping behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, and energies together so that they're easy to talk about, but also because there's links between certain, like a certain thought is going to lead to a certain behavior, which is going to lead to a certain outcome in your life. And we categorize these things together and we call them archetypes because they act as like a model for us to know either something that we wish to aspire to, something that we're like, oh my God, yeah, I really love how that archetype shows up. And actually, I can sense that my truth is to embody more of that. My truth is to actually take back some of the conditioning that maybe I've had through my life that told me I couldn't be that, and actually embrace it and to step more into it. But where archetypes can also be super, super helpful is to see where we're holding ourselves back. So some examples, you've probably heard of masculine energy, feminine energy, but then there's also things like people pleaser. Like if I say to you, what's a people pleaser? You can probably tell me, right? Because it's an archetype that you've become familiar with. So I realized that if I could just understand these archetypes and see where I fitted into these archetypes, particularly the ones that steal your power, then I had the ability to transform that with the map and the tools that were being taught to me. And this is exactly what I teach inside Soul Aligned Love. Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. Sorry, my mind's I'm a little nervous today, as I said. I'm not quite sure why. This is what we teach inside the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. And it's the map of knowing these archetypes, but then also the ability to transform the trapped energy into the magnetic energy. And I realized that this small bit of detail, this tiny bit of information could actually unlock the entire key to me being able to call in the type of relationship that I had been longing for so long. And for those of you who don't know my story, I'd been on an empowerment journey, like a healing journey, healing from codependence, healing from people pleasing, self-sabotaging, low self-esteem, and my own toxic behaviors. I used to show up with a lot of aggression in my relationships, not obviously when it was loving and beautiful and great, but when it wasn't, when things got difficult, when I felt rejected or feared that I was being abandoned. The way that I dealt with that was to yeah, be very fiery in my temper. And I didn't know any other way. So at that point in time, like I really genuinely didn't know that it was wrong, or, well, I wouldn't even say wrong, it's just undesirable, right? Nobody really wants to get yelled at and, you know, have those sort of fights. But if that's what you grew up with and you didn't know it was any different, then yeah, it can be a downfall for those of us that have that type of personality in relationships. And I'd done a huge amount of healing around this, 8 years, 8 long, painful years of healing. And I thought, I'm actually pretty ready to get into a relationship now, like a proper healthy one. I know what a healthy relationship looks like now. I've got my boundaries. I can speak my truth. I feel like I'm connected to the authentic me. I'm not people pleasing or pretending. I've taken off all the masks. And I thought, okay, well, now it should be relatively easy to find a relationship, right? I didn't really have any trouble finding men anyway. It was just trying to find men that I actually wanted to be in relationship with, and ones who wanted to be in relationship with me. So I started exploring like yoga and tantra and meditation, thinking that this was going to be the place that I could find my ideal man. And I was, hanging out in these communities, and I made loads of great friends. And particularly after you've been through a period of evolution, you do need to make new friends to support that, right? So I was busy building my tribe, making my conscious community. And I thought, I'm going to find a really decent man here. And I did. I dated a few of them, but none of them were really looking for the same as what I was looking for, like a deep, authentic, heartfelt connection that lasts. Like I wanted forever love. I always have wanted forever love. And I found a lot of the men in the tantric community were looking for something more transient, more convenient, maybe. So then I started doing more shadow work. I really got involved with like learning about the subconscious, learning about what shadow is and how it holds us back, and how limiting beliefs are all caught up in the subconscious. And if we can start to ask ourselves the right questions and be loving and kind towards ourselves when we ask those questions, then we have the ability to take off the layers of protection which are stopping us know what is in there, in the subconscious. And we can work with the subconscious, and we can start to change some of those limiting beliefs. And the reason why working with shadow work or the subconscious is so incredibly powerful is because, whether we know it or not, the subconscious is actually what rules our life. We might think it's the conscious mind. You might think that every day you get up and you make certain decisions and you make certain life choices, but really and truly what's informing those decisions is the beliefs that are living in your subconscious. So if you've got beliefs in there that, even if you've worked a lot on them, because believe me, after 8 years of therapy, I'd worked a lot on these limiting beliefs. And I'd not just worked with like a talk therapist, I'd worked with body therapist, I'd worked with mindset therapist, I'd worked with shadow work therapists, all of the types. And I thought, I've probably cleared all this stuff out by now. But even if you've got these faint little whispers of, oh, I don't think I'm really good enough, or if somebody criticizes you, you take on the criticism rather than like feeling, actually, that's not mine, like that's just not about me, that's not mine, I don't need to take that on. These little beliefs can impact and inform the decisions that we make. And so we think we're making all these, thought out, well structured decisions, but actually the subconscious beliefs that want to keep us small and safe, because small and safe is, well, safe by definition. It means you don't put yourself at risk, you don't risk humiliation, you don't risk failure, you don't risk getting hurt again in love, right? But when you don't risk those things, you also don't get the benefit of actually going for them. You don't find the love of your life, you don't find the dream job, the dream house, you don't become your true empowered authentic self and free expression, because your limiting beliefs keep you small. So anyway, I learned about all of this, and I found a guy that I started dating in this world, thinking that he was a teacher of this world. I thought, oh my God, he teaches this. He's got to know his stuff. He's got to have all his shit together, right? And we were able to have these really deep, beautiful conversations. And, we could really own that, oh, this is what's coming up for me, and really have these conscious communications. But what I didn't realize was I had an anxious attachment style, and I was attracting over and over and over again men with avoidant attachment style. And this is so common. This is something I now coach women on literally every week. It's either women who have an avoidant attachment style attracting anxious men, or women who have an anxious attachment style attracting avoidant men, because this is typically the patterns that tend to play out for us. And I had inadvertently attracted a man with avoidant attachment style. When these two attachment styles, anxious and avoidant, get together, and if you don't have extensive skills and preferably a coach to help you reflect back the truth, because, oh my God, it can be so, so challenging, then it's really hard to make a relationship work with those attachment styles. Not impossible. If you have a coach who can support you with this and you're both willing to do the work, it is possible. But we didn't have coaches, actually. We were just working by ourselves, and there were some other complications. And the short story is, it didn't work. So I'd dated men, from the conscious world. I dated men from the tantric world. I dated men from the shadow work world. And I was starting to run out of places of like, where do I find these men? Where do I find like conscious men who have like emotional intelligence, and they can have these deep conversations, and they can see what's going on for them, and all the things, like meet me on every level so that I felt safe and seen and heard and valued, And I explored all of this, including I went into the world of like open relating and polyamory, because that's where my healing journey took me. And I thought, oh, now I'm going to find my man, everybody's so open and everyone's so loving, and, this is going to be the place. But guess what? It wasn't. It wasn't. I dated a number of men in this world, and we just weren't fully aligned. What I wanted wasn't what they wanted, or what they wanted wasn't what I wanted, or I was too deep for them, or, I don't know, I wanted like more of, not so much monogamy in those days, but I wanted like a committed relationship. They didn't really want so much commitment. Anyway, I kept getting my heart broken over and over again, like for 5 years, 5 long, long years. Kept thinking I'd found the one, kept getting super, super excited. I found him, he's amazing. And then those relationships didn't really last, like 3 months, 6 months. I think a couple of them lasted 2 years, like 18 months, 2 years. But either we weren't aligned at the beginning, or if we were aligned, then further down in the relationship, my very volatile temper, the way I used to show up when I was triggered, when I got scared or felt abandoned or felt undervalued, the way I used to show up was, quite fiery, a little bit emotionally aggressive. I was never physically aggressive, but, sort of emotionally violent. And I didn't know that wasn't how you did relationships. I didn't know that wasn't how you sorted stuff out. So it wasn't until I dated a few more sensitive men, and they were like, I just can't do this. I just can't do this with you. Like, it's too much. It's too aggressive. It's too like intense and like combative. And I got my heart broken so many times. I thought I'd found the one. So when I discovered these archetypes, when I read and learned from friends who had studied these and were like, oh my God, these things are amazing, like absolutely life-changing. I was like, okay, I need to check this out. When I learned from the people who were teaching this, that just knowing which archetype was holding my power gave me the ability to transform it, literally just to transform one archetype. It was no longer about years and years of therapy and, tens or 20s or hundreds of beliefs and, all of these wounds underneath me. It was now just about like one archetype. And I was like, oh my God, like that's so much more manageable. Like I can do that. And I really felt this sense of empowerment. And I love learning about archetypes anyway. For me, like learning more about how my mind works is just fascinating. I'm like, are you the same? Like if you're the type of person who loves learning about how your mind works, and every time you discover like a new archetype or a new piece of shadow work, or you know a new way of like transforming limiting beliefs, if you get really really excited, then drop me some sort of emoji, like an excited emoji in the chat, because I'd love to know who are my fellow people out there who love learning about themselves, love becoming a better version of yourself, like love clearing out what is not yours, what has been passed down to you through generations, through your parents, through the grandparents, through the great grandparents, and also through society, through religion, through maybe you were bullied as a child. I certainly was. And maybe you picked up limiting beliefs through those bullying years. All of this impacts us and shapes us. And every time I manage to transform one of those beliefs and let go of it and replace it with something so much more aligned with my truth, I just feel like, oh my God, I love this work. I love this work. It's so empowering. So if you are one of those people, drop me like a little heart or an excited emoji, because I'd love to know who my tribe are, who's out there. But I realized if I could do this work, I had the ability to truly fulfill like my wildest dreams, like to actually stop holding myself back, not only just in love, but in my business and in my life, and then just creating the most magnificent life I want. I don't know if you're the same, but like I want everything. I want everything. I want, a house in Spain. I want a house in the mountains in, Switzerland, so I can go skiing. And I'd love a house over in Jamaica where my partner's family are from, so that we can go have like super hot holidays. And I want to base it in the UK because that's where my friends and family are from. And, I also want to be, as a coach, I want to be giving empowered talks to people across the world. I want to be doing sort of Tony Robbins style teaching, and I've got big dreams for myself. And I'm like, wow, what if like these archetypes are holding me back from all of this? And what if transforming these archetypes could open the door to me having this dream life, with the partner with it. I want to have, well, I do now have, but back then I wanted to call in a partner who was doing the conscious work with me, who we could be like a power duo. You see those power couples out there who they're both coaches and they're both out there changing the world. And I thought, I want that. I want to be one of those power couples. And maybe these archetypes are the key to opening the door to set me free to have that. So you can imagine that I was super excited to explore these. And are you the type of person who's also got big dreams? Let me know, like write big dreams in the chat if that is also you. I'm just going to check on the comments. Hello to everyone on Facebook. Hello to everyone on Instagram. I'm on both at the moment. Please do drop me a hello or something in the chat to let me know who's here. So great to have you here. Hi Vera, beautiful to have you on again, my love. So good to see you. Yeah, so you've been also attracting men with the opposite attachment style to you, right? And yeah, the pain of that, like it's so hard. It's so hard. And when we can transform that piece that calls us in, hello, my love, welcome. Thank you for saying hi. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. Maybe you can write it for me in the chat. When we can transform that piece that keeps us pulling in men of the opposite archetype or the opposite attachment style, which, oh my God, it's just so challenging to be with, then we stop doing that and we can actually start to cultivate secure attachment. Like that was the piece that helped me create secure attachment in my relationship that I have now with a man who absolutely meets all of my standards and beyond. Because all the time that you're dating someone who has the opposite attachment style to you, you are going to keep having your weakest attachment style reinforced. So that means, if you're naturally slightly avoidant or slightly anxious, that attachment style is keep getting inflamed because you keep replaying the trauma piece that keeps it alive. And when you can choose a man who, or a partner, a woman, depending on what gender you are, but I tend to work with women, so I say men. I work with heterosexual women. So when you call in a man who actually is either secure attachment or the same attachment style as you, then you no longer have these challenges. Like everything just gets so much freaking easier, I can promise you. And unlocking these archetypes was such a key to helping me do this. So what else do I want to say? So what happened when I unlocked these archetypes? Obviously, I've told you a lot what happened, but actually there was even more. So despite, at this point now, I'm now 13 years into my healing journey. 13 years. Hello, my loves. Welcome, all of those who are joining. And after 13 years, I thought it would be so easy to call in a man who met me on every level, you know, like I've done 13 years worth of work, you know, we're like, come on, man, give me a break. Give me a break. What's going on? But when I discovered these archetypes, what I learned was I had been holding on to dating standards, as in I'd been trying to find men who met certain standards that actually weren't my truth. I thought they were my truth. I really did. I was like, yeah, I really want this, you know. For example, they had to be super good looking, of course, you know, and they had to preferably be in a high paying job because, you know, that's what I had been taught as a child meant that I would be happy. And what's another example? Sorry, one of my lights is flashing. Let me just try and make that not flash because it's annoying. There we go, that's better. I've been taught that, you know, not to date certain ethnicities actually, really, because not because there was anything wrong with certain ethnicities, but because I wouldn't be culturally aligned with those people. And actually, those of you who know me, my partner is black, so I blew that one out of the park. I was like, hang on, that one doesn't serve. We're beautifully aligned, actually, so complementary, mixing cultures together. Such a delicious mold, actually. But some of the beliefs that I was holding on to was that, you know, my partner needed to have like the same cultural background as me for it to work long term. And when I started to do this work with the archetypes, I could dig down into the archetypes and see that actually all of these things came down to not truly believing that I was good enough, not truly believing that I was worthy of calling in a man who was equal to all of those things. But also I had this belief that somehow if a man didn't meet these things, you know, if he didn't have like the 5-figure salary or the 6-figure salary, or if he was from like a different ethnicity to me, or yeah, great, thanks Vera, or if, you know, he wasn't, you know, like a 10 out of 10 good looking, like bowl you over type good looking, then you wouldn't believe it. But that was actually linked to my self-esteem too, because what I started to realize was when I really dug, I've just invented a new word, dug under the surface, I started to realize that the reason why those things really mattered to me was because I thought, well, what are people going to think? What are people going to think if I'm dating a man who isn't a 10 out of 10? Or what are people going to think if I'm dating a man who doesn't have a 5 or 6-figure salary? And when I dug under, what does it matter what people think? Like, who cares what people think? Then I realized that, well, they might not like me. They might not want to hang out with me. They might not think I'm good enough. And there we go right back to that same damn route, the one that I thought I'd cleared out 100 times already. But this shadow work, this archetype work helps you unpick these beliefs in a way that really pinpoints the bit that says, oh, wait, hang on. Here's the root. Here is the piece that is holding all of your power. And what I discovered was that so many of my dating standards and the triggers that would come up for me when I was dating were around the fact that I thought I wasn't good enough. Or there's a second archetype, that's what's called the prostitute archetype. And there's another archetype which I also had like quite a lot of energy in, which is the victim archetype, which you probably have heard of this one, where dating felt heavy. It felt like a lot of hard work. And I thought, oh, can I really be bothered? Like, can I really be bothered to keep going through the ups and downs of dating and to keep putting myself out there? And like, I felt like the pain incurred in dating was too great for me, that somehow it was too great for me to be with or to carry or to face. And that is actually the victim archetype that says this thing has power over me. This thing is bigger than me and it's stronger than me, and and it has the power to crush me. And when I realized that, my warrior roared up and said, no, no way, no way. Nothing crushes me. I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter deep down, and I know you all are too. And when I realized that actually there were these limiting beliefs in me, like helped to discover by these archetypes, that I was believing that something could have power over me, when actually, when I asked my conscious mind, I was like, no, I don't think so. That doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that. I was able to clear it out. I was able to release it and take back all that energy, because these archetypes hold your power. These limiting beliefs keep you small and keep all your power trapped in, which means that you can't shine, you can't be magnetic, you can't be radiant, which is why all of the incredible men just walk on by. They don't see you because you're not radiating your full beauty. And this doesn't mean that you need to be something you're not. You just need to be more of who you are, right? More of who you were meant to be in the first place. So I'm just reading my notes here. My default thought when I was dating that I wasn't aware of, because if you'd have asked me consciously, I'd be like, no, of course I'm a high value woman, like I know that. But when I started to use these archetypes to dig down under the surface, what I actually discovered really shocked me, really, really surprised me. But I realized that I had these beliefs running, such as, I'm scared he might go off me. I'm scared that he might actually get to know who I am. And when he really gets to know me, like really, really gets to know me, like once he's got to know, you know, all the surface level stuff, and we've been intimate, and, you know, we've taken off all of the layers of armor, and then there's just left with me, like my raw me self. There was a really deep fear that that wouldn't be enough, that I wouldn't be lovable, that somehow the parts of me that I wanted to keep hidden because I didn't really like them, that when another person saw those, that they were going to be like, sorry, Natalie, I'm out of here. Like, see you later, gone. And this belief was stopping me going for certain guys, stopping me going for guys that I thought might be too good for me. And when a guy didn't respond to my messages, my immediate thought was, he's not interested. That's it. He's not interested. He's gone off me. He's probably dating somebody else, or, you know, he's found somebody else who's better X, Y, and Z, you know, better looking, or more this, or more that, more compassionate, more loving, more kind, prettier, whatever the things are, more intelligent. I don't know. And when I started to see all of this, I was like, oh my God, wow. Like, how have I still got all these beliefs after doing so much years of therapy? I'd done 13 years of therapy at this point. But more to the point, now I could see these beliefs. I was like, what do I do with them? Because they are clearly limiting me. They were stopping me chasing exceptional men, stopping me feeling like I was enough to actually go and date a man who I perceived to be powerful and successful and charismatic and good looking and rich and all of the things. So because I was being held back by my own limiting beliefs, I wasn't approaching men like that. And I probably wouldn't have dated the man who's I'm now living with. Actually, at the moment we're living together, and who I'm planning to marry. Like, I would not have dated him because I had certain beliefs around what it would mean to date him. And I feared, like, what would that mean about me? And when I cleared all that stuff out using the archetype maps that we teach inside the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind, and the tools and the techniques that we teach there, when I met my partner, who is now my partner, when I met him, I could just see what a beautiful man he was. I was like, oh my God, you are so gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous inside and out, you know, the sort that you really want to have forever love with, the sort that is both visually attractive, but is such a good person on the inside, but not a people pleaser type good, you know, not the type that's just going to say, yes, Natalie, 3 bags full, Natalie, you know, bend over backwards and never stand up to me, because I'm a strong, powerful woman. I want a man who can stand up to me, who's going to be like, actually, you're a little bit out of order there, or actually I don't agree with what you've just said, or actually, yeah, I'd love to do this thing with you, but not on that date. That date doesn't work for me. Let's do it on a different date. Just the subtleties. Whereas the people pleasers tend to say, yes, and they overcommit, and they say all the yeses, and then they usually drop out the last minute because they realize that they didn't really mean yes, or they said yes to way too many things. So I was clear I didn't want to be with that type of person. I'd done that and it didn't work out well. So I would have overlooked my current partner, who is now my forever man. Literally, we are currently living together, and we are talking about, what does marriage look like for us? Because he doesn't want a traditional marriage, and I'm open. Like, I want to get married because I want that level of commitment, and I want to feel chosen, and I want to feel like I found my man. I want to feel like I found the one. But I don't need necessarily, I'm not religious, so I don't need like it to look like in a church or whatever. So we're exploring that for us. What does that look like? And I would have overlooked him if I had not have done this archetype work, if I had not have got to the bottom of the two main archetypes that were killing my power. There was one particular one, the prostitute. Oh my God, she stole my power like you wouldn't believe. And then if it wasn't the prostitute, it was usually the victim who was stealing my power. And I'm going to speak about these a bit more in a moment. But I would have actually overlooked the man who I'm now planning to marry. Like, what a crying shame this would have been. And if you think about it, how many men have you overlooked because of the beliefs that might be holding you back? How many men did I overlook because of the beliefs in the past that have held me back in that way? So I'm going to come to you in a moment, Vera. Thank you for all the comments, my love. And if anyone else, has got comments, do just share. If it's resonating for you, if you see yourself in this, if you're like, oh my God, help, yes, this is me, like, then let me know. Because when I cleared out the energy that was held in these archetypes, I became so magnetic, and I could see how beautiful the men were that were in front of me. Men that previously I would have judged, made a snap judgment rather than actually upholding healthy boundaries. I would have made a snap judgment about, oh, you're this and you're that, and blah 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 blah, you're not suitable, and you're going to be one of these type of men, and you're going to be one of those, and you're going to hurt me, and you're going to do this. And all of that comes from these disempowered archetypes. And when you do the work inside Soul Aligned Love Mastermind to clear this out, you don't think like that anymore. You start to look at men and you start to think, I see your good points, and I see what you could potentially offer, and I see what is really true here. And then I can also see what actually isn't going to work for me, but not from a point of snap judgment, not from this nasty sort of slightly bitchy energy of, the sort of finger wagging, I'm superior, I know this, I know that, not that energy. Very grounded, centered, compassionate place of like, I see you as a whole human being, and I love you and I value you. I love you as in, like a humanistic love. And you're not right for me, and we're not going to work on these levels. So you start to have a much more grounded approach to the way that you date, and you can become much more trusting of your own judgment, because the things that make us not trust our judgment are when we make those snap decisions based on a trigger. Like, we've got a trigger inside of us. We're feeling hurt or dismissed or not valued or criticized or rejected or abandoned. And then from that place, we make a snap decision. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. You're not good enough for me. Oh, you're going to treat me like this. You're going to hurt me. And we cut off connections that actually, if we could clear out those triggers through the archetypes that we teach in Soul Aligned Love Mastermind, and reclaim your power so you could stay in your grounded power with your heart open, and know that this stuff isn't going to hurt you. Know that you're not going to get abandoned, because the only person who could ever abandon you is yourself. And if you don't abandon you because you do what we teach in the mastermind, then nobody can ever abandon you. Even if somebody physically leaves you, there is no abandonment, because you stay with yourself and you attach to yourself through that process. And you have your own back through that process. Believe me, I've done all of this and I've done the work, and I used to suffer from extreme fear of abandonment, and I no longer I no longer feel that. Even like my partner and I, we actually had a bit of an argument last night, and it was so good for me to see how I showed up in that argument. We don't argue often, so really, I think the last argument we had was probably about a year ago, but we had an argument last night, and rather than me going to the place of, oh my God, like, oh my God, he's going to leave me, it's over, like, crisis, it's all over, I've done something wrong, I'm going to be abandoned, help, like, this is going to end really painfully. What I could actually do in the moment was say, like, there's something really wrong here. Like, I'm not showing up as my empowered self, and he's not either. It wasn't just one of us, it was both of us. I was like, I'm stressed, I'm tired, and also the collective energy, all of the grief that's currently going on in the world right now. I know that I was holding that energy. I was picking up a lot of this collective grief, and it was really affecting my energy. I didn't know what was going on for my partner, but the way he showed up last night is not how he usually shows up. He behaved in certain ways, and sort of like he just wasn't his self. And I didn't go to this place of, oh my God, like he's going to leave, or I'm going to be abandoned, or the other place of, fuck you, like I'm out of here, like we're done. Didn't go to any of those places. I just was like, I can see that we're both off center here. I can see that I'm not in my grounded power. And for whatever reason, he isn't either. I didn't know what was going on for him, but I was just like, okay, we need to take a little bit of space. We hugged. We said we were sorry for fighting. We said, I love you. And I said, I'm going out dancing because I need to shake some energy, and I need to release this energy that has been, bringing my energy down. And then we came back last night, and today we've been talking, and from a much more grounded place, we were able to sort out the fight. And this is the way that you get to show up when you've done the work in Soul Aligned Love Mastermind, because you've cleared out all of the triggers, all of the insecurities that would normally throw you off track. So it's such empowering work. What else did I want to say? And it allows you to heal the abandonment wound. Literally, I have healed my abandonment wound. It allows you to heal the fear of rejection. And from these places, you can create secure attachment, because the fear of rejection and the fear of abandonment are the two things that create the insecure attachment styles. Like that's actually what's going on underneath when you've got like an anxious attachment or an avoidant or chaotic or disordered attachment. So I managed to set myself free from all of these sabotaging patterns that I'd been blind to for so long. Even after 13 years worth of personal development work, the archetypes and the insecurity eradication tool that I teach in the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind helped me uncover beliefs that 13 years worth of therapy and empowerment work and, tantra and conscious healing work and emotional release and all of the things had not uncovered. So what we do with these archetypes is it's so much more than just comforting your inner child. This is not affirmations. This is not sticking a plaster over a gaping big wound and hoping that it doesn't re-rupture. What we actually do, we go into the wound, we clean out all of the debris. We're like, oh my God, this wound has been festering for some time. We've got to get all of the debris out, which is all of the limiting beliefs, right? We take out all of the limiting beliefs, and then we're in a place to nicely stitch up the wound properly, because it's no longer festering with all of this energy. When you stitch it up properly by doing the work through the secure attachment tool that I teach in Soul Aligned Love Mastermind, then this wound actually heals, like it properly heals. Sure, there's a little bit of a scar that, you're aware that it's something that you want to look after and take care of through your life, but it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't stop you going into dating situations. It doesn't cause you to avoid like certain types of men, or, stop you really reaching for your dreams. So we don't just stick a plaster over the wounds in Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. We actually really go in and heal them from the root. And I've got testaments. You can read the sales page on my website. There are so many beautiful testaments from the women who've done this work and cleared out the wounds and released their past and called in exceptional love. you've got Carol, who's now living with her beautiful partner Neil. You've got Rachel, who actually married Bruno. She did the work in soul aligned Love Mastermind to stay anchored through her anxious attachment style and healed it to become securely attached so that she could hold space while Bruno healed from his ex relationship, and also whilst they were apart during COVID. They were in different countries, and then Bruno felt so safe in this connection because Rachel had done her healing work, that he actually moved from Spain to the UK to be with her and marry her. And they are now married, and it's so beautiful. So you've also got like my dear beautiful client Michaela, who she had a very painful past from her upbringing, a lot of abandonment wounding in her upbringing, and she was carrying that around from relationship to relationship. She always felt like she couldn't trust men, always felt like I just feel like they're going to hurt me. I can't trust them to stay in the relationship, and I just feel constantly like they're going to abandon me and that it's not safe. And she cleared all of that out, and she now approaches relationships with so much confidence, so much self-assuredness, is that a word? Self-assurity, and feeling like actually it doesn't really matter how the man shows up. I mean, she chooses better men now for sure, but she knows that however that man shows up, it actually doesn't really matter because she's got her and she's not going to abandon herself. So there is no abandonment that can occur because she's got her own back. So I'm just going to catch up with some messages. Please do drop me a message in the chat. I love reading your messages. Hey Vera, love reading your chat, my love. I love that. You're becoming more magnetic. Beautiful. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what you're wearing, right? It's not about whether you put your makeup on today or whether you're wearing like a sexy outfit. When you become magnetic, it's about your energy. Like you radiate out. It doesn't matter if things like being the most attractive lady doesn't matter when you are magnetic, because it's about how you feel about yourself. It's about your relationship with you that makes you magnetic. It's not about whether you're pretty or whether you've got like the sexiest body or the nicest clothing or whether you've, even remembered to wash your hair on that day. You can, not be physically looking your best, but your energy can be charismatic if you've done the work to clear out these beliefs that hide in the archetypes. Some sort of light in you or power. Yeah, a lot has changed in you because you love yourself these days. I love that. Beautiful. And yeah, you also don't watch the news. I went through a period where I really didn't watch the news because it was too much for my nervous system. But through doing a lot of this work, I have actually got back to the place where I have to dip in and out. I can't watch it all the time, but I do want to stay connected to what's going on in the outside world. I do want to know, particularly what's going on in Palestine right now, because what we're being told in the news is a very one-sided story and it's not the whole picture. Sure, there's a lot going on in Israel too, and I don't wish to diminish that whatsoever, but there's a lot that's been going on in Palestine for decades and that doesn't get spoken about. And yeah, there's so much going on there. I'm not going to go on a political rant here because it's not the point of this live right now, but I'm now in a place where I can hold that energy. I do need to do emotional processes to clear it out when it gets heavy, when it's really bad, like at the moment. But it's so beautiful to be able to hold everything, hold all the polarities. And I also advise that if you're finding the news overwhelming, just don't watch it. Just, maybe check in once a week or something like that to see the latest, like really self-care. That's a huge, huge act of self-care. So I want to come back to, where I was going with this. So let me speak briefly to the archetypes because I did promise the archetypes and I know some of you are watching purely for this purpose. So we have the prostitute archetype who has low self-esteem. She doesn't really believe that she is deeply worthy of magnificent love, of like a man who's got everything, like good looking, high paying job, like finances, kind, loving, gentle, authentic, patient, charismatic, wants the same things as her in life and all the things. So, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. She self-sabotages by not going for those things and by believing. She also has the abandonment wound. So this is the prostitute archetype. Then we have the victim archetype, who feels like everything's a catastrophe. They're always believing in scarcity, always feeling like there aren't that many good men in the world. There aren't that many high caliber, charismatic, emotionally intelligent men in the world. And usually these two get paired together as well. So even if they do exist, they probably don't want to, date me. That would be the belief set that goes on inside the victim. The victim also fears the worst case scenarios, always thinking, oh, but what if this happens and what if that happens? Then we have the child archetype, who is very entitled, has a lot of expectations, really, really high expectations, but is not willing to do the inner work to be magnetic enough to attract a man who actually meets those expectations. So you have the expectations, but everybody fails to meet your expectations. If you have this experience repeatedly, where you're feeling all the time like nobody meets my expectations out there, like there's just nobody, I can't find a man who's good enough for me, basically, you are in the child archetype. You are not doing the work to become magnetic to attract this level of man. And then the last one is the good old saboteur. Now, we often think saboteur must mean sabotage, but actually all of these archetypes sabotage. So it's not just the only one. All of them sabotage. The way the saboteur sabotages is you get very stuck in your mind. You no longer listen to your body, you no longer listen to your heart, and you no longer listen to your intuition. In fact, you might not even believe in those things. You might feel like there's no higher power, there's no God or universe, and you might feel like intuition is just a bit of, whatever, like spirituality is just, you don't really believe in all of that stuff. This is a very cynical archetype. Doesn't believe that there is a spirit out there that's actually working for your highest good, and feels very limited in what it can believe. It will only believe something if it can see it. So it's one of those, if you hear people say, yeah, I'll see it when I believe it, this is the saboteur archetype speaking. And all four of these archetypes hold your power back when you're dating and in relationships too. So this is the work that we do in the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. We dive deep into these archetypes and we clear out these limiting beliefs using the insecurity eradication tool, which is a really quick and effective process that doesn't involve loads of emotional drama. You don't have to relive all your childhood wounds. You don't have to have years and years of therapy. It's quick and effective. Literally within 15 minutes, you can get to the bottom of what the archetype is that is holding your power, and you can do the transformation work, which is the secure attachment technique. You can do the secure attachment technique work to transform that limiting belief so that you clear out the wounded pain. This is, if we think of the metaphor of a wound having lots of debris and, dirt in it, you clear that all out, and then the secure attachment tool is stitching it nicely back together so that you cultivate a secure attachment with yourself, which then allows you to securely attach to a partner. And we combine all of this work with cutting edge precision dating technique, which allows you to go onto the dating apps and to be quick and efficient on the dating apps so that you don't have to spend hours, literally 10 minutes a day on the dating apps. And I will teach you through the precision dating tool how to quickly and accurately identify the type of men on dating sites who are a exact match for what you're looking for. And then within 5 messages, you will learn how to communicate effectively to learn whether they are worth seeing in person. So you'll first of all learn just by looking at their dating profile, whether they're the right match for you. And you might be thinking, how? Well, this is what we teach you in the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. And then within 5 messages, you get to ask some really quick, pertinent questions to discover, is this man worth investing my time in? So you no longer need to spend weeks or even days talking with men who do not meet your standards. You cut all of that out and you get to be very quick and efficient, just 10 minutes a day on the dating site. And you'll only actually invest time talking to men who are truly aligned with the vision that you want to create for yourself in a relationship. And that means that when you go on dates, you've already done all of the hard work to know that actually this guy is really well aligned for me. And when you go on a date, it tends to just be magical and beautiful, and it all just tends to work well from there. Then we also use my first date success method, which allows you to have success in all of those areas too. So we really do hold you all the way from like clearing out the beliefs to feeling, all of the radiance and magnetism to go out there and to absolutely kill it in the dating market, to date quickly and effectively and accurately, so that you are using minimal time, you no longer wasting your time doing all the things, and you get the expert support to make sure that when you're dating somebody, you're asking the right questions to determine, is he the right one for me? Is this a good match? Am I aligned, or am I wasting my time? Is it time to actually cut this connection and end it because actually there's a better match for me available that I haven't discovered just yet, that's just around the corner? And because you've done all of this clearing out work, the whole dating process is so much calmer, so much calmer. All of the insecurities, you've got a tool to quickly clear them out so that you can develop secure attachment, so that when you find the man that you actually really feel aligned with, then it's just smooth sailing from that point forward. All of the stuff that would normally come up for you in dating, that would normally sabotage you, is no longer there because you've done the inner work. So we are closing the doors to the Soul Online Love Mastermind on the 30th, in 6 days. On the 30th of October, the doors are closing and they will not reopen until probably mid or late next year. So this is a big time to, it's a big moment to jump in, basically. If you're like, actually, I'm ready. I know that I've done a lot of healing work. I know that I'm ready to just tweak these final pieces to become even more magnetic, to make the whole dating process super smooth, super aligned, so that I can call in my ideal man quickly, because you want to start your relationship now, right? You want to have him now. You don't want to keep waiting and dating all the wrong men. And sure, it's great being single. Like, there's so many perks to being single, but wouldn't you rather be in your forever relationship, like building that relationship and learning him, getting to know him, and building your lives together and creating that forever love and becoming the power duo that you've always wanted to be? That's where I'm going with my partner, and it just feels so exciting. Like, I can't tell you how magical it is to finally have met my man and to just be building our lives together, and to no longer have to be dating and worrying about, oh, do I need to meet the right person? Am I in the right place to meet him? And do I look in the way that I want to look? And all of the things that come up when you're dating, it's a lot. And it's so good to just be like, oh, I'm done. I'm settled. I found my man. Now we just get to create a beautiful life together. And that is what you get at the end of Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. So 6 more days for you to jump in. If you're not sure, ask me questions now. Use this moment to ask questions in the chat. Or you can also book a one-to-one call with me. You get a 20-minute one-to-one call with me where we just go through and see, are you well aligned for this? Is this right for you? And you get to ask any questions you have, and then we get to enroll you on the call, because literally every person I speak to on these calls, they're like, once we've spoken and we've cleared up a few questions, they're like, I want to come in, I want to join in. And we already have an amazing group of women in there who have already made commitments for the love that they are calling in, and they have received the archetype map where you get to learn about all of these beautiful archetypes, and they're already starting to do the work. So do jump in now. You can still join, as I say, until the 30th of October, but the sooner you jump in, the better, because we are already starting to do the work, and you're just going to get so much more support. So in terms of the support, you get weekly calls, you get daily support, 7 days a week. There is support in the Facebook group where you get to show up with your other fellow women. You get to be supported by them. You get to heal the sister wound, the mother wound, all the things. Because you're just receiving love and nourishment and support from all of these beautiful women who are in the group. So over a 10-week period, the doors close 30th of October, and we will go until mid-January. There'll be some break over the festive period in December, so you get integration time. You get to go out and be dating in all of the holiday period. And you get, a bit of rest, a bit downtime to obviously spend with the people who are nearest and dearest to you. And then come back in January. By that time, we'll be supporting you, like really connecting with these new men, these higher caliber men that you've called in. There's also going to be a one-off, never done before by me masterclass where my partner, my beautiful conscious masculine man partner, is actually going to come in and do an hour special with the women who are in the Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. And you're going to get the opportunity to ask him any questions that you want to ask about, what do conscious men, what makes them tick? What are they looking for? How is the dating experience for them? What are they looking for when they're looking for a profile online? What type of dates does he like going on? Just any questions that you want to ask a conscious masculine man to know, like, how can you better prepare to be in relationship with a man like that, and what can you do to, what inner work needs to happen so that you can call him in. So there are so many bonuses. If you want to read more, go onto my website, natalie-ford.com, check out Soul Aligned Love Mastermind. But equally, just jump on a call with me, drop me a DM. We'll jump on a call and get you enrolled, and I can't wait to welcome you.